and gentlemen, it is that time of the year when the entire world comes together for the biggest cricket tournament ever, the Indian Premier League. But unfortunately, due to the COVID-19, that's not gonna happen, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Around the Wicket. Yes, we guys know you missed the IPL, you missed the T20 fever, but you know what? You can't do it, you can't do it. I've got my buddy Ryan Mayfield from Arkansas. What's going on, buddy? I know you're missing the IPL as well. What's the emotion like with you?
I definitely miss it. I remember, in past years, I would always wake up, because for me, the matches are in the mornings and see what match is on. And usually the time I would wake up, it was fun because it would be kind of in the back half of the match. And so I'd get to see some of the most exciting moments, and yeah, definitely missing that right now.
Hey, but guess what? That's why Around the Wicket is bringing to you some exciting conversations between me, the Indian guy, Vivek, and my buddy Ryan Mayfield, who's the American. And if we can't watch IPL, we can discuss IPL. And today on our podcast, we're going to be discussing about the top T20 players who we think are really on top of the game. I know there have been so many surveys, there have been so many polls. But we've got, 4 or 5 names with us who we believe are on top of the table. Ryan has got his opinions. I've got my opinions. You guys, at the end of this podcast, don't forget to comment your opinions about the greatest T20 player ever. Ryan, would you like to shoot first?
Yeah, so I do have my list, but I was also looking at a list. So ESPN CricInfo, they're doing kind of a tournament of greatest T20 players. And so I thought before we get into our lists, we could talk about the ones that they said are their top 4 and just see what we think. So their top 4 for CricInfo were Malinga from Sri Lanka, Andre Russell, then Chris Gale, and then from India, Rohit Sharma. So what do you think about those 4? And do you think there's we'll talk about who's on our list after, but what do you think about those 4?
Well, I think all the 4 names definitely hold a very, very big position in terms of the greatest T20 players. I mean, think about it. Cricket, in the first place, is a batsman's game. When it comes to a T20 format, it's even more a batsman's game. And when you talk about batsmen, you've got 3 of the biggest names in the top list. We've got Chris Gale, Andre Russell, Rohit Sharma, all who have got their own abilities and strengths. Definitely Chris Gale, universe boss. He's got the highest number of T20 runs under his belt. You've got Andre Russell, who can virtually win you matches in 5 overs. I mean, you've got 100, 120 runs to score in 5 overs. He'll do that for you. You've got Rohit Sharma, who's a brilliant opener. So I guess these batsmen, it is only fair to have 3 batsmen out of 4 in your top 4. But it is also important to have a bowler like Malinga who can really bowl death overs. I mean, to actually be relevant in a T20 match, you need to have Malinga in your team. You need to have somebody who really curb those runs the last overs. And from the day Malinga stepped his foot into the international cricketing circle, I think the real reason he was special was because of his action, which was slightly controversial. But then once he was cleared, I think the slinging action is so meant for Yorkers. I mean, how many bowlers in today's time can you actually bowl Yorkers 5 out of 6 times? And he can do that. He can consistently bowl good Yorkers when he wants and how he wants. And that's what makes Malinga so special. So frankly speaking, the person to be celebrated in the top 4 list of ESPN's greatest T20 players is actually Malinga, because, man, you actually made it to the list of batsmen who can actually destroy every bowler and every opposition. So, kudos to ESPN putting out that list. I really agree with them. And I think it's time to also take bowlers like Malinga because he's made it the top 4.
Yeah. So I like the list as well. My list is very different from their list, but I will say Malinga, out of all these, I would want to include Malinga on my list, mainly because my list doesn't include any fast bowlers. And I know that you need one, definitely in the side. So my list is more like individuals. I know that these 4 players by themselves would not win a match, but yeah. So if there was anybody I was going to add to my list, it would probably be Malinga. He's too good.
Correct. So what's your list looking like, Ryan?
So let's do this. I'll share one and then you share one. We'll go back and forth like that.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure,
So
sure.
I'm going to start at the bottom of my list. And so the bottom of my list is Rashid Khan. Uh,
Okay.
I think he's so good, and I think he's got so much potential. Yeah, that's the only thing against him is he is young and he doesn't have the experience, and maybe he won't turn out to be as good. But right now, I think for a youngster, I don't know if I've seen anybody that's made such an impact at a young age quite so quickly, other than when you talk about great players like Sachin or something. I think Rashid Khan is just he's come alive for cricket, especially for Afghanistan,
Yes.
and the Sunrisers Hyderabad, like, been such a important figure there. And so he's the first one coming from the bottom of my list of four. What about you?
Starting from the bottom, I have a fast bowler with me, and I would opt for Jasprit Bumrah.
Mm,
I believe Jasprit Bumrah is the future of Indian cricket in terms of bowling. I think
yeah.
he's performed really well in the one-day international scene. He's also a great test bowler. As an
Yeah.
ODI bowler, he's very good, but as a T20 bowler, he's even better. Again, unconventional bowling action. I mean, if
Hmm.
somebody who's not watched cricket before and you watch Bumrah bowling, you really feel he's I don't know what he's up to. I mean, he's performing a
Yeah.
magic trick or
Right.
But I think that's what makes him so special. He's got that action. He runs in slowly, but he is able to deliver the ball fast and death overs. Mind you, you need to
Mm,
have good bowlers to win a T20 game as much as you need to have good batsmen. I think Mumbai Indians have people like Jasprit Bumrah who can really bowl in the death overs, curb runs, get wickets. So he's a wicket-taking bowler. You
yeah.
can get hit for three sixes, but if you take that prized wicket on the fourth ball, man, that is the kind of bowler I want in my team. And I think that is why I would pick Jasprit Bumrah at fourth position. For me, he's a star bowler and a must for any team to have.
Yeah. Yeah, he's difficult for me to not include. I thought about him, and across all formats, like you said, he's been amazing. And so definitely honorable mention for him on my list, even though he wasn't one of the four. My next
Yeah.
one up is maybe some people will disagree with this, but for T20 matches, I really like Shakib Al Hassan from
Oh, yeah.
Bangladesh.
Okay.
Uh,
Bangladesh. Okay.
he can bowl really well, obviously, but he also can bat really well. So I think that makes him more valuable, to be able to play both sides. Same with Rashid. Rashid can bat as well, but Shakib Al Hassan, I mean, he can stay at the crease for a long time, and he swings big, but he also makes a really big impact with the bowling. So he's my number three.
Oh, I agree with you. Over the years, Bangladesh cricket has really evolved to being a very improved side. 10 years before or 15 years before, you would dismiss a Bangladesh cricket side as a non-cricket playing nation or as a very weak team in the ICC, world rankings. But if you look at some recent performances, if you look at how the players have evolved, I think Bangladesh has a very, very bright future. They've beaten the best. I mean, they've beaten Australia, they've beaten India,
Mm,
and they're on their way to produce some really, really good cricketers. I know they also have a bowler who's playing for Sunrisers Hyderabad in form of
yeah, it's Ramin, right?
Mushfiqur Rahman.
Yeah,
Mushfiqur Rahman, the guy who bowls left arm
very
pace,
good.
he's
Yeah,
very good with his Yorkers as well. So big shout out to all the Bangladeshi cricket fans listening to our podcast. I mean, you guys have a bright, bright future, and no way anybody can treat you as minnows anymore. You guys
yeah,
are on par with any good team.
absolutely. So who's your next one?
My next one is kind of my favorite one, and I think is also a local favorite, ABCD. I don't know why
Mm,
I'm so obsessed with Nags. I keep following his jokes or I keep cracking his jokes on this podcast. It's AB de Villiers. AB de Villiers initially played for Delhi Daredevils and then was drafted to the Royal Challengers Bangalore. The reason why I think AB de Villiers is an important player for any team is for his ability to kind of adapt to situations and kind of, he's a clean striker of the ball. He's got a
mhm,
gifted ability to watch the ball till the end, and once he strikes, he really strikes it, and that remains out of the park. And
mm,
he's a very, very talented fielder as well. He can also keep wickets
yep,
if there's no option. And AB de Villiers over the years has proved to be a very, very dependable batsman. Yes, his
absolutely.
team has never won a trophy so far. I will agree that he hasn't delivered on some occasions when their team wanted him, but that doesn't take away the fact that he is an exceptional fielder. If you've seen some of the catches he's taken in the last season, it's
Yeah,
incredible. And when it comes to batting, man, I'll say it again. If you can hit Dale Steyn with a reverse sweep, who's bowling 150 k's per hour for a six behind you, and
Yeah.
then only ABD can do that. So for me, he's sits in the third spot.
Yeah. Well, and ABD is, I mean, no one can argue with that. I'm a little bit embarrassed that he's not in my top four, even though he probably should be. But he's a superhero, you know.
Absolutely.
And there's very few players that I would want to watch play more, you know, than AB de Villiers. But the next one on my list is actually a good friend of his, and so my number 2 spot is Virat Kohli. Again,
okay.
it's kind of the thing where, you know, you can't argue with de Villiers and you can't really argue with Kohli, like especially if you're chasing. If you have to chase in a match, Kohli is just the best. You know, he's aggressive, and you know, when it comes to cover drives, I don't think there's anyone better. And so I think he's just excellent in that. And you know, you wouldn't want to count on him too much for bowling, but when it comes to the bat, there's very few people that are better than him. So he's my number 2.
I agree with you. He's the only name which resonates with every Indian cricket fan at the moment, or probably even world cricket. I think there's so many people who've said that if there's anybody after Sachin Tendulkar who can really represent India on a global platform, that has to be Virat Kohli. He's extremely talented. I mean, as you said, the cover drive, beautiful, man. Once he plays it, then you just it's like a woman standing in front of you, and you're just in awe of her. He treats the ball very, 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 very beautifully, and he's got the technique. I mean, he's got the runs. More importantly, I think there've been so many seasons he's been the player of the tournament. But somewhere for me, I have to slightly disagree with you, because sometimes it's also about kind of proving yourself under pressure situations. And I don't know why. I somehow feel under pressure, Virat has not always performed. It's like a 50-50 thing, you know. You like flip a coin, Virat would win you a match when you thought he wouldn't. And when you flip a coin again, Virat would lose the match when you thought we were home.
Yeah, agreed.
So for me, somewhere, you know, I want to like Virat Kohli because he's really improved and evolved as a cricketer, from being a spoiled Indian young cricketer to being very responsible, maturing in terms of fitness. I mean, he brought that fitness revolution in Indian cricket. So I'm really happy about so many things he's done in Indian cricket. I'm a big fan of his wife, Anushka Sharma. So all things going for him. So yes. I mean, I would pass off him in the second position. I wouldn't mind, but I've got somebody else in the second position on my list.
Yeah, who's that?
I've got a left-handed batsman coming from Australia, and I've got David Warner on the second position for me. I'll tell you why. You know, David Warner, man. When you watch Sunrisers Hyderabad and the last season, there were 2 players who really took away the game from most of the opposition. There was David Warner and Ken Williamson. And the way David Warner was timing the ball, it looked like he could play cricket in his sleep. I mean, he worked really hard after that whole, you know, controversy with the cricket ball. He was kind of suspended from the national side. But the way he came back in the last season, and the way he was timing the ball, he got so many runs for Hyderabad. And I think you would want a guy like David Warner to open the innings for you. Many years earlier, a few years earlier, I would probably say Chris Gayle was like that. If Chris Gayle opened the innings, he would, you know, get you 100 runs in 10 overs. I think that same capacity David Warner has at the moment, because he's timing the ball so beautifully well. He's got the technique, he's got the aggression, and he's also somebody who can play every bowler. He will not struggle against any bowler, and he's a sensible batsman. Let's not forget, he's not a pinch hitter. He's not probably like Gayle, who will go after every ball. So in terms of sensible cricket, as a dependable opener, David Warner, he really is the number 2 batsman for me currently.
I love that. And yeah, he's definitely one of the best. And what you said about playing any bowler, before you said that, I was just thinking, like, David Warner is not afraid of any bowler. You know, he's he's solid and he's strong. But yeah, you're right. He's not making lots of bad shots, but he hits the ball very hard. But he's also not afraid to run between the wickets, which for me is the reason why Chris Gayle will never make one of my T20 lists, is because he won't, you know, hardly ever take the singles. But David Warner is, there are not very many other, you know, opening batsmen that I think would scare me so much, you know, as an opposing side.
Because he reminds me of He reminds me of the likes of Matthew Hayden or Adam Gilchrist. I mean, when Matthew Hayden and Adam Gilchrist opened for Australia, they would demolish the opposition. I mean, man,
Mm.
if you let Matthew Hayden and Adam stay 10 overs, the next 30 overs, God save you, because these guys can really take away the game from you. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you let them stay for 10 overs in a one-day international, I would easily say they would score 300, 350 plus in the next.
Mm.
I mean, on any given good day, they would do that. So David Warner comes from that breed of cricketers. So I'm not kind of surprised because, they share the same dressing room and it's the Australian blood mate.
Yeah. No, lots of respect for the way he plays. So, are we ready for number ones?
Yeah. What's the number one position for you?
Okay. So, my number one T20 position, and again, this may be controversial. I'm not sure if everybody will agree with this, but my number one top T20 player is Suresh Raina.
Wow, that's a interesting choice. Could you explain why?
I think Raina has been one of the most consistent T20 players.
Okay.
He's not, the most flashy. He's not going to be the one that's usually getting the most runs or anything. But I think in T20, he is just very dependable for the most part. He's played so many matches. There's very few people that have played more T20 matches than he has. And so his experience, and he's obviously good with the bat. Again, not the best in the world, but he's up there. He's definitely one of the top batsmen, but also for his ability to take some overs bowling. He's not a main bowler, but he's a good secondary bowler to give your other bowlers some time off and to rethink strategy. And I think he actually gets wickets because, most batsmen on the opposing side don't spend much time thinking about how to play him. And so they're not as prepared for him generally. And so he'll normally take a wicket in the T20 matches at least, which is just a bonus for your team, to have one of your not top bowlers that's taking wickets is just a huge bonus. So I know that's a kind of a strange pick, but if I'm, having a T20 side, I want Suresh Raina in that side.
Yeah, I really love stark contrast kind of choices which you have made in comparison to ESPN or probably what I have picked. So, are you ready for my number one player?
Yeah, I'm trying
T20
to
World
think.
Cricket.
I want to maybe guess. Give me a hint. Tell me which country they play for.
Okay, I think this will be easy for you, but I'll try to make it tough. Okay, I'll try to make
Okay.
it tough. So let's see if you know some history. So this cricketer used to have an alleged Bollywood girlfriend. He was allegedly linked up with one of the Bollywood actresses. It's a little tough hint I've given you because if I give you the other hints, you'll kind of guess. But he was allegedly linked with one of the Bollywood actresses
Is it
when he started off his career.
is it a batsman?
Okay, I'll give it to you. Yes, he's a batsman.
I feel like there's been multiple ones that have had some Bollywood connections. I don't know. Who is it?
Both good and bad. Okay, so I'll tell you the answer to the hint. So this particular cricketer was earlier linked to Deepika Padukone, who is now the wife of Bollywood actor Ranveer Singh. Deepika Padukone was also linked with Yuvraj Singh. She was also allegedly the girlfriend of the former owner of the Royal Challengers Bangalore, Vijay Mallya's son. I'm not getting his name at the moment to my mind. Sid Mallya. Sid Mallya. She was also allegedly the girlfriend of Siddharth Mallya. And the cricketer who I'm talking about is none other than Tala MS Dhoni,
Yeah.
who happens to be your favorite cricketer. And of course,
I didn't know about the thing
no
with Deepika
prizes.
though.
Yeah, when he was coming into limelight, he was linked with Deepika as an alleged kind of an affair. But I mean, Bollywood and Indian cricket is always. I mean, the IPL itself is such a amalgamation of cricketers and movie
Yeah.
stars. So I'm sure you're not surprised
No.
that I chose Dhoni as the number one T20 player according to me. I'll simply tell you one reason why. Okay, think about going for a war, and you have to go on war every single year, and you need a man to lead from the front who is extremely level-minded, who is extremely calm in his approach towards fighting an opponent. At the same time, he gets the job done for you. And
Yeah.
I think over the years, whether it's been Indian cricket Look at the trophy cabinet of MS Dhoni. He's got a World Cup. He's got an ICC Cup. He's got several Test matches. He's got plenty of IPL, trophies. So he's really proved himself in every format of the game. He must be 35 plus. He still runs like he's a 20-year-old in between the wickets. And think about the things he's done for Chennai Super Kings, man. From season one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a hardcore Royal Challengers Bangalore fan. But if I had an opportunity to have Dhoni as our captain, I mean, I'm sorry, Virat. I'm sorry, everyone who's emotional with RCB. I would swap like in a blink of an eye, because he's just been such an amazing captain. It's not about winning matches. I mean, he's won matches, he's lost matches. There have been times, like I think the last World Cup, I really wondered why he was playing so defensively. In the situation where he's supposed to win a match for India. But the guy is such a level-minded cricketer. He knows what he's doing, and he's such a dependable player. And again, unconventional approach towards cricket. I mean, if you look at the helicopter shot or some of his shots he plays, really somebody who's really God-gifted cricketer. And we're hoping he could continue playing IPL, at least if not for Indian cricket. I don't know what the situation is for Indian cricket. I don't agree with some of the decisions he has made of taking such a long break. And I would say the same thing for AB de Villiers as well. I mean, you're either fighting the war for your country or you're not. This is, when you play cricket, especially as an Indian, for you it is war. So I was not happy at all to see him absent for so many months after the World Cup. But nonetheless, for me, he has to be the number one T20 player in the world. What do you think? I'm sure you think the same.
I have no problem with that. I mean, I love Dhoni. And I'm excited to hopefully see him back on the pitch with CSK. And I know, I figure his chances in the Indian side are probably pretty dependent on his IPL performance. And so I know that's true. What I wonder with him, whenever he first came into the side, and especially when he first got the captaincy, he was a very big proponent of the younger players, right? He was pretty instrumental in a lot of the seniors, losing their spots on the side. And I don't think that was necessarily a personal thing, but I think he was thinking about the future of Indian cricket. And if they only relied on the seniors forever, eventually there was going to come a time where they would retire and Indian cricket would really suffer. And so, I wonder how much of that he now thinks about now that he's on the other end of it, being the senior, and guys like, Rishabh Pant or, some of the other wicket keepers that are coming up, thinking about them and trying to decide how much time he needs to give them with the gloves. And I think that's a consideration. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about his absence from the side. I definitely miss him, but if he's thinking through that lens, then I can at least understand it a bit, I suppose. In that regard, I really appreciate cricketers who play for other countries. As a cricketer in India, it's you become a demigod, whether it's Tendulkar or whether it's Saurav Ganguly, and sometimes you feel do you really want to stop playing the game? You're going to miss all the attention. Are you going to miss all the fame, name, money, position? So I won't really blame the Indian cricketers, especially Dhoni, because it must be a tough situation. I mean, we're all human beings after all. Yeah. But in stark comparison to the rest of the players in the world, I think they make their decisions so quickly. You've seen some of the Australian players. You see AB de Villiers as well, retired from all forms of international cricket. Mitchell Johnson did it pretty quickly. Michael Clark did it so quickly. I think they really decide. They know their bodies and how well it can perform over a period of time, and they really take the decision pretty quickly, which I really appreciate because it really paves way for the younger generation to take over the mantle. And let's face it, I mean, you can be the fittest player, but to play international cricket at over the age of 35, it takes next level of commitment, and it's not always possible. So this is probably something Indian cricketers can take note of from the rest of the players. When it's time, it is time. Right? There's no one more day or one day less, one day more. You should really hang the boots and say goodbye to international cricket. But the good news is that, and the bad news, we don't know. We don't know anything about MS Dhoni. What do you guys think? If you guys think you have some opinions about the list ESPN has shared about the top
T20 cricketers ever. The list Ryan has to share. I'm going to read out the list for you again. Ryan, can you read out your list again? Who are your top T20 cricketers?
Yeah, so I had Rashid Khan, Shakib Al Hasan, Virat Kohli, and Suresh Raina.
Cool. If you guys agree with this list, please comment in the comment section below. Give us your top four T20 cricketers and why you think they should be in the top four list. My top cricketers were, of course, Jasprit Bumrah, number four, number three, AB de Villiers, number two, David Warner, and number one, our Tala MS Dhoni. So if you guys agree with us, if you don't agree with us, please comment in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. Give us your top T20 players, and we'll have a quick discussion about that and probably discuss that in our next episode. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm excited for some different guests we've got coming up and some more episodes coming up soon.
Perfect. So it was a great podcast so far. Ladies and gentlemen, we're available on Spotify. We also will be up on Instagram and YouTube soon. We're also on Apple Podcasts. So please look up Around the Wicket and you will find us there. We are two cool cricket enthusiasts, one an American and one an Indian, who love to talk about the game of cricket. We put out podcasts at least 2 or 3 times in a week. Do follow us, do support us, give us all the love you have, and we will continue bringing you all this amazing content around the wicket. Take it easy. Until next time.